Survivor podcast, the only podcast that actually is here to make friends. I'm John, and this is the NSYNC to my Justin Timberlake, Andy.
That's funny, because I was going to thank you for letting me be on your podcast this week, John.
Yeah, aren't you honored that I invite you on my podcast every week?
Well, except for that 1 week, I guess.
That's true. And there are people angling to replace you, so, you know.
Come at me, bro. I think as our Survivor Fantasy game has shown, I ain't going nowhere ever.
Come with the king, you best not miss.
All right, so we got a new season of Survivor with, like, new people and people actually getting voted out and leaving. It's very exciting. What do you think of this episodes?
Yeah, sewed. It was, 2 episodes in one, thanks to the Olympics. Hey, thanks, Putin. Good job. And like you said, all new players, looked like a good cast going in. And let's just go ahead and toot our own horn, because that's our favorite thing to do. We were so right about the Brains tribe. So right. I mean, we called them Raging Dumpster Fire. We used just about every term we could to describe that this was going to be a very, very bad tribe. Did you think they would be this bad?
Here's the thing. I thought they would be an absolute complete disaster. I was saying they're going to start overplaying within 30 seconds of the game, and David did that. They still somehow, and I don't know how this is even possible, but they sunk to lower depths than even I could imagine.
I can't imagine. We had the expectations so low for them. They are like masters of limbo, just sliding right under that bar.
And ultimately, it came down to the actions of one person that I think made it go to an extra level of special terribleness. And that kind of brings us to the thing, is that we nailed the overall perception of the tribe. We nailed how it would go, how it would just, not get along, not have the social skills necessary to form a tribe in the early stages. What we kind of missed a little bit is the individual assessments of the characters involved.
We did okay on some of them, but swing and a miss on some others.
Well, I remember you thinking, because you were with me, and we were both agreeing that these guys are a disaster. I personally didn't really like any of them. You had good feelings about 2 of them.
Did I?
Or goodish feelings, I'll say.
I'm pretty sure after I go back and edit that podcast, that won't be true.
So yes, you said that David would be a pretty decent player, and I know all we baseball fans had a good chuckle at that, but honestly, beyond the Marlins, I don't even think the Marlins bit of it, haha, he thinks he'll be good because he runs a terrible baseball team. It was more what I thought. He came out like he was in charge, and that doesn't work.
There is a long-running saying among us AV Club nerds that you never play a post-merge game pre-merge. And he played the post-merge game before the game even started. That's the all-time record.
Yeah, he played the post-merge game pre-camp.
Yeah. Jeff had barely talked to them, and he's like, all right, well, game started. I'm planning my end game. How about get to the end game? Get to the merge. Get to day 4.
Get to the camp. I don't even think that Jeff had given them the names that we're never going to use for them yet. You know what? If you're going to play that game, you're going to look at this guy, and he's a target, and here's my chance. Don't announce it, at least. Come up with something. It's hey, maybe him, or I think he's going to do really well, or I'm closing my eyes and pointing. But we're coming in right out and saying, I'm thinking 29 days down the road. That's, ugh.
If you claim that you're a big fan of this show and you're a master of strategy, blah, 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 you just blew it. I mean, it's not even day 1. The game hasn't started, and your game's over. I mean, regardless of whether they hadn't been able to get David out first, who cares? You just blew your game. Everyone's gunning for you at that point.
Yeah, you've shown that you're a completely self-interest actor, which, I mean, everybody is, obviously, and I don't mean that in the literal, that their jobs are actors, although many of them are also self-interested actors in that sense. Everybody knows, obviously, that people are in it for themselves, but you need to kind of at least let them pretend otherwise.
Right, it's like you're going on a date. Pretend to be interested in someone else.
That's right. Tell me more about the stories. Actually, yeah, maybe on a date you actually are. More like conversations with your wife. Oh, yeah, what happened at work today? Oh, no, I forgot my wife listens to this podcast. I'm really interested, honey, and I can't wait to discuss it with you. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we could just go through this tribe of 6, and we'll just spoiler alert for the rest of you guys. Most of this podcast is going to be focused on that tribe of 6 of brains, because, ugh.
Let's not forget, we'll talk about Morgan's boobs at some point, too.
At some point, sure. And there's like, just a litany of bad idea genes going on.
We gotta start where the episode ended, with Josiah, as someone at the AV Club called her, because, yeah, she's not long for this game. I think it was actually Corinne on the Rob Sesternino podcast said about her, she seems like the type that has to tell you she has a PhD within the first 30 seconds she meets you. And that's exactly what she did. She announces to the whole tribe, hey, I'm a PhD, I'm a nuclear engineer.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, that's cool. Except nobody really thought, it's like, well, we're not building fission here. It's like, I would be more interested if you said you were a contractor, maybe?
I don't know what the correlation she saw there was. Like, oh, if I tell them I'm a nuclear engineer, they'll think I can make a shelter. What does that have to do with atoms? In any way.
Yeah.
I guess there are technically atoms in the bamboo, but yeah, just terrible.
I'd be like, you know what, nuclear engineer, how about you generate fire? Try to get the nucleons and everything together, and you can fire, and we're just gonna, put some pom-poms up against a tree so we won't get wet. Yeah, no, she was a disaster. I mean, I would have hated to record an over an hour and a half podcast where I declared her my favorite for the season, because, wow, that would be really just kind of sad.
It would be so embarrassing. It'd be the type of thing that you want to completely pretend didn't happen.
I'm thinking that within, Survivor fandom, we have different terminologies. You have your goats. You have your super goats. You have your, oxes or your shields. I almost think we need a new definition, a new type that Jatia now fits in, and it's the Shamar. Because I kind of feel like Jatia is the Shamar.
Well, so then she's not a Hans then. She's a Shamar.
Yes, so she's the absolutely crazy, complete drain on the team that still gets dragged along by people who think that she can help them.
Oh, I think you're bashing on her a little too hard here, because I will say the one thing that I would count in her favor is that when they told her, hey, yeah, you were kind of being a bossy, pain in the butt back there, and no one really liked you. She thought, like, oh man, I thought I was just being so helpful, and there was actually some self-realization there. Like, she sort of understood, oh, okay, maybe I didn't come off as well as I'd hoped.
So you're suggesting that she somehow improved in the second hour over from the first hour?
Oh, God, no, I'm just saying that she at least understood that people were maybe not so fond of her at that point.
Because that was just an absolute disaster of 2 hours from one person. It's hard for me to think of somebody who performed worse, yet she's still around. In fact, for a few times since the episode, I had to remind myself, oh yeah, they didn't actually vote her out. Beyond all of the dumb things that tribe did, and we're not done talking about them, we have more. The absolute dumbest is that Jatia is still on this tribe.
Well, we'll just go ahead and skip ahead. Why did you have her do the puzzle? And not only that, but is there some rule that you as the teammates can't start telling her, hey, try this over her shoulder? Backseat driving is annoying, but, at some point, take a shot, because she's not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I wonder if we're switching out. I don't know if that was allowed. I mean, maybe it wasn't. At the same time, yes, absolutely, there's nothing to prevent people from saying, yeah, go there, do that. They've never stopped people from doing that. They don't stop people from helping their competitors in three-way challenges from doing that, so they're not going to stop the tribe. And I almost wonder if it just kind of goes back to the dynamic that we talked about, that these nerds can't get along and they can't work with each other, and they'd rather watch somebody fail so that they complain about it later than, step up and do something about it. But yeah, everything. And then she's just she's on the verge of tears as this is all going down. And I have some sympathy, small little part, as a human being, but this is Survivor. And if that's how you deal with pressure, and this was, I think, her second time crying in the first 6 days, you're not long for this game. Just those things, just the failure in the shelter and bossing people around and completely breaking down in a challenge. Those are enough to say, yeah, we're going to vote you out. And then you get to her big deed.
Yeah. First of all, that whole series of events leading up to the big deed you're referring to was just, what were we even watching there?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, this is on the litany of the terrible things they did. And it started even before that, but so that nobody gets off scot-free other than, strangely, the person we thought we'd hate. First boot goes up to Cass. Who you voting out? And Cass, the genius lawyer, says, I'm thinking about you.
Oh, you know what's funny is I pegged Cass before the season as a possible Sandra type. If she was going to go anywhere, I said either she's gone early or she's a Sandra. You know who she was trying to be and failing so miserably? Brian Heidick. That's the Brian Heidick move. Like, oh, just so you know, though, it's you tonight. But the key to the Brian Heidick move is you don't do it when they still have time to scramble. And you surely don't say, so, start scrambling.
Yeah. And also, like, Brian Heidick was the clear leader of his tribe. That gives you a little bit more room to be able to do something like that. Cass had to know, if she had any kind of self-awareness, that she is likely to be a first target. So you don't put it out there. You say, I mean, look, I'll give her some benefit of the doubt. Maybe they just got back. She literally had not given it any thought, other than, obviously, her singular thought of Jatia. But that's when you say, I haven't given any thought. Who do you think we should vote out? Or if you're even a better player, you have another name in mind besides the one person. But what you never do, never, ever, is tell somebody that you're going to vote them out.
Yeah, and this kind of works into the fact that a whole lot of lawyers just lack self-awareness entirely, almost as much as a different profession that we'll discuss a little bit later when we talk about a different tribe. Self-awareness was lacking not just among the lawyer tonight.
So that was the first instance of people just flat out telling Jatia, in fact, that she's going to go home. And then we get to the prelude to the incident. I mean, in one way, I can see what Garrett was doing. I mean, he told us what he was doing. I can see where he would be thinking this might be a good idea, of trying to put, Cass on the spot, trying to basically, probably in some kind of poker term, but show her cards, maybe become too pot committed. But it was still stupid. It was very stupid to do that whole conversation.
I just want to point out, because I was so wrong on Jatia in our predictions, I want to tell you this quote from our preseason prediction about Garrett. I said, quote, he'll be a disaster. He's an internet poker player, and we know people on the internet have no idea how to interact with other humans.
And I think I said the TLDR version of that is he's giving off major douchebag vibes.
Yeah. Both of us were dead on.
Yeah, we did not think of much of him with good reason, because I'm here positing that JT, had one of the absolute worst performances I've ever seen a Survivor, and he lost to her.
Yeah, not a proud moment for his life. And not only that, there was something I didn't even mention in the preview podcast. If you're about to go and starve for over a month, it is not a wise idea to lose any semblance of body fat. Garrett, by day 3, is like, I don't want to do any physical labor, and I'm tired, whatever he was saying, I don't remember. The point is, he's complaining at day 3. You know why? That's because you're down to 4% body fat, and you have nothing in your body right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a classic especially rookie Survivor move. And look, a lot of them are getting cast because they're vain, because they're attractive, unless they do that. The smarter Survivors, and a lot of times this is kind of more of a returnee trick, they pack on some weight.
Oh, Boston Rob came out straight doughy in his coronation season.
Well, also Heroes versus Villains. Like, he knew what was up. He plays the game in many different ways. Penner's done it each time out, too. I've been preparing all my life for that moment. Put on the weight so that you can live off of your fat stores. It's like learning how to start a fire. Look, I'm guessing for a guy like Garrett, he's not going to be all doughy, but, He looks like a guy who, like, basically dehydrated himself right before, the final weigh-in. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, the idea is not to make your muscles look the best for the pregame picture. It's to win the $1 million. So, swing and a miss, Garrett.
So many swings and misses for Garrett. But yeah, the whole conversation in front of her, I mean, is bad. It's dumb, especially because he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he's got everybody locked down. He knows for a fact he doesn't have Tasha locked down. And in a tribe of 6 people, 2 people kind of matter. So try to keep that stuff on the low,
Yeah. Also, while we're on our predictions that we got dead wrong, his partner in crime, Spencer, apparently, if we're going to call him the avatar for us internet nerds, not as loathsome as we thought he might be.
He's the only member of that tribe I basically have no complaint about. I mean, I guess you could say the one thing he really screwed up was pairing with Garrett, who was a disaster, but look around. What good choice does he have? They're all a disaster. Like, I don't want Tasha to get off scot-free. She did not impress me for 1 second. All her whining and complaining about, nobody wants to strategize with me. They're all stupid. We hear this a few times. We heard this last season with Colton.
And I was just going to say, anytime your strategy aligns with Colton's, not a good thing.
Yeah, people are like, these people are so dumb, they want to strategize. Like, no, they don't want to strategize with you, and they're strategizing in a different way than you want to. And I'm sorry that you got so excited that you were going to be on Survivor, and you were so convinced, as seemingly everybody in your tribe, that it's all about backstabbing and move-making. But it's not.
This also translates to Cass, because Cass was asking on Twitter today, did she make a bold move? No. You're at day 6. There really aren't too many bold moves at that point, especially in such a small tribe. There was no good move. It didn't really matter. The tribe is a disaster no matter who you vote out there, Garrett or Jatia.
Yeah, like, Garrett is no prize. Like, I don't think losing him means that they're all doomed. I think they're doomed anyway. That said, you don't keep out the person that just threw your rice in the fire. I think that should just be a rule. Like, above all the other don't play pre-tribe, whatever. If somebody destroys your food choice, food source willingly out of a, irrational craziness, you cut them out. You don't invite crazy back to camp.
I loved, though, that when they asked her about it, like, oh, what happened to the rice? She just said, I don't know. Like she's 3 years old. I don't know. Did the rice fairy come and knock it over? I don't know.
Yeah, no, everything about it was she's a spoiled brat, and she throws temper tantrums when things don't go her way. She either cries because she can't handle stress, or she throws tantrums. How does this person function in the adult world?
I said in our preseason preview that she does not seem like the type that has to be the smartest person in the room. I was so wrong on that.
No, just a pack of 6 raging narcissists. So much so that Spencer, who in every preview, in every quote, even Probst is saying, I think this guy is arrogant, he came off as the level-headed one. Even when Garrett was doing the stupid powwow of let's talk this out in the open, I liked what Spencer did in that, he asked Spencer his opinion. Spencer just finally answers because it's already out there. But then he made sure that Garrett put his neck on the line, too. He was like, what about you? Because I kind of think Garrett was trying to get away with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one gets out of here without firing some shots off.
So what is the dumping the rice in the fire? This is now 2 out of 3 seasons. Does this mean that you have basically, like Boston Rob instituted the buddy system to keep people from turning on each other? Do you now have to police somebody just so they don't wreck your stuff?
No, I think maybe it's a CBS producer trick to be like, hey, wouldn't you like to get back at those guys? Here's the fire. Here's the rice. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure it didn't take any prodding whatsoever with Brandon, but I kind of wonder if that's a natural Jatia reaction, though.
Yeah, like when Brandon did it, I didn't think like this is now going to be the wave of the future. Like the guy had a psychotic break, which, wasn't a far leap for that guy to take. But she didn't seem that level of crazy. I think we all know what kind of girlfriend she is now. Yeah, and...
So basically you're never getting your stuff back if you break up with her. You're
seeing it on the street. Your records are getting thrown out the window.
Your records. Oh, I guess you're a 60-year-old man dating her.
No, I'm a hipster who collects vinyl.
Oh, sorry. I should have recognized the skinny jeans and the horn-rimmed glasses.
And, she hearts nerds. Maybe, it's music nerds. Yeah, and Approach has already, I think, said on Twitter that they didn't, but I don't think they should give that tribe back their rice. If they voted out Jatia, I think they could be like, hey, you guys put this crazy person in our tribe. Could you feed us again? But no, they endorsed the action. They have to live with the consequences. Apparently, they're cool with it.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, who needs food?
Like, I can't understand how you keep... And it's not like, if she was otherwise good... And this was just one crazy Holly Hoffman burying the shoes in the water type moment. I mean, I still wouldn't forgive it, but maybe you can kind of think she's important to my alliance. I need to go forward. But she was terrible even without the rice dumping out. Like, this is a person who is helping sink your terrible tribe. But again, this goes back to our preview and where we were saying they're all just going to be so focused on their own games and their own strategies that they'll not see the important parts. Like, winning is important, or tribes should get along, or you need somewhere to sleep, or people that destroy your food should no longer be around.
Well, and on that note, we should switch to the tribe that got all of those things right, because most of them just aren't very smart. The Brawn tribe.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gets the same. We thought they'd get along fine, so they should be all right, with the exception of one guy. But, yeah, I liked what I saw out of them. They not only seem like they're doing all right, a lot of them seem like cool people.
Yeah, and Sarah is basically, at least so far from what we've seen, everything we thought she was going to be. Level-headed, seems like she gets along with people, reads people really well, could totally see through Tony's BS about not being a cop. Repeatedly, when she's asking 3 times, she knows. Just go ahead and say, yeah, you got me, I'm a cop.
Yeah, and
you're confessing to another cop. Who cares?
I know. And she even offered that of herself. And yes, I'm going to be giving her credit for everything this season. But, Tony was terrible. I'm not a cop. I just know all my friends are cops. Oh, that seems really natural for somebody that's not a cop to say that.
He could be a, drug dealer or, have served a lot of time.
It's like, I'm just a repo man. I mean, he was so bad. Oh, Tony. We're going to talk about him a little bit more later, but yeah, the other 5 seem really cool. Tony is kind of a sore thumb, but yeah, I'm all in on the Sarah train. I'm almost thinking that she's already getting the winner's edit. I'm pretty excited.
My favorite part about Tony's reason for denying that he was a cop is that he said, people think cops are smart and tactical and observant. And then he says, and strategical. And I'm like, yeah, you know who thinks that of cops? Cops. Also, other people who aren't cops think that you are precisely, quote unquote, strategical.
Yes. Or, an annoyance until you need them. That's another thing people think about cops. But yeah, did you kind of feel like there was anybody who surprised you out of the Brawn tribe?
No. Actually, I think we were both right that Lindsay and I think it's Trish were the most annoying of that tribe and seem like the most likely candidates for an early boot. It's just a matter of which one's going. I don't think it's going to matter because the other one will soon follow if they get 2 voted out at some point.
Which I don't think is going to happen for a while.
No, I don't think so either. At least not anytime soon.
And Cliff was just a nice guy. Very excited. I'm all in on the Cliff Robinson era.
I loved how he succeeded at, as M. Ratfing put it, being tall in that first challenge.
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, why does he even have to go up on the ladder? You're disappointing me there, Cliffy.
He really should have just jumped up and swatted it with the stick. It would have been funny.
That's right. I want him to, I think we've seen in the previews, or at least I have, because I was watching for it, he's holding a ball, and he's got the elbows out in classic, free throw
he's
set
doing
shot.
the shooting motion.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. But more than, him shooting into a tall basket, I want him to see somebody just slam that back, just reject somebody's shot. Get that out of here. That'd be so sweet. So, Beauty Tribe. I think there were some surprises.
There were. I think chief among them for me is that apparently some of these people have actually seen the show before, which surprised the hell out of me. Were you shocked?
Well, I think we pegged LJ as a viewer of some level, but yeah, there wasn't anybody that stood out as spectacularly unaware of what was going on. Now, obviously, because they won and finished in second, we didn't get a whole lot of them, not when, the tire fire was going on the other side, but I was shocked most out of everybody by Bryce, in that he is quickly now one of my favorite players.
I wouldn't go so far as favorite, but again, we had the expectations set incredibly low for Bryce. He was the last pick in our fantasy draft.
I passed him over for Tony.
Almost nobody took him in the pick 4 drafts, or the pick 4 teams that we do, and totally exceeded those expectations in one episode. I was shocked.
Yeah, no, he was calm, he was working, he was talking to everybody, and then he started showing how well he was observing people. How he could figure out how to worm his way into the rift that the game caused between LJ and Morgan. How he was able to bring Jeremiah over by preparing to be, as he said, wingman. As I think Emrat Fink has said, pimp. Using Morgan to get Jeremiah. Yeah, I liked the way he was thinking. And he wasn't trying to go out there and cause chaos or stir trouble. He was, thinking things through.
I love that he sold Jeremiah with, us country folk gotta stick together.
Yeah, that was a stroke of genius, because, figured it would be like him and Jeffra, and he's already throwing shade on Jeffra, too, so.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think he's got some moves. I was actually thinking, and this is way too early for any of this, but hey, this is what we do, and we're here. It's possible that he and Morgan could be the new Todd and Amanda.
Ooh. Yeah, way too early for that.
Way too early, but the seed is there, and let's see, with Jeremiah being their Aaron. They just have to find a Courtney. But I don't know if you can. There's only so many Courtneys. So speaking of surprises, I think we figured that we'd always have kind of our favorite Morgan scene of the episode as a running theme, and it would usually be something like that time she came out of the water, or, if she was doing morning stretches. But I think we actually have like a real gameplay moment to discuss.
Yeah, but before we do that, there was the lingering shot right into her chest as she was reading that thing where she had to decide whether to look for the idol or not. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that is gratuitous. And then I just realized, yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm trying to be an evolved male, but it's like, way to go. Kind of the same way with True Detective. But anyway. But yeah, her, trying to find the idol and then coming up on the spot with a good lie that everybody seemed to have bought all in. Showed that she might have some game.
I was stunned. That was a very good lie, especially because, you don't have to get super complex with your lies, because if you do, everyone's going to think that you are lying, A. And then, B, these aren't very smart people. The only one with brains, really, seems to be LJ, and maybe Bryce. So, let's not get too complicated with your lies. And she nailed it.
Yeah. So what do you think of LJ's justification for sending Morgan? I mean, he was much nicer about it, but it was kind of Brandon Hansian, don't you think?
No, I kind of get what he was saying. But, I mean, really, it just came down to one of the 3 ladies was going. And I don't know why you send Morgan over Jeffra, because just looking at them, I feel like Jeffra looks like the weakest. Mm-hmm. If nothing else.
Morgan certainly looks healthy. We'll say that.
I was going to say, if nothing else, she could probably float very well.
She certainly had lots of experience, carrying chests, like in the first challenge.
She definitely has that experience. But again, it comes down to one of those 3 girls is going home. Does it really matter? No, they're all essentially interchangeable, other than their looks.
Yeah, I just, she's too hot, and I can't, trust myself around her. We heard that from Brandon Hance about somebody nowhere near as hot as Morgan.
I don't think he necessarily said he couldn't trust himself around her, though. Not in a manner.
No, certainly not in a Brandon Hance. She's going to destroy my family, and God will smite her for this type of way.
Right.
But and another way I could kind of sympathize with LJ. It's like, yeah, I don't know how much I'd be able to hang around Morgan before I'd just be like, sure, let me do stuff for you.
Want me to build you a fire? Okay. Want me to dive face first into it like Mike Scoopin? Okay.
No, I mean, it was just a thought that I had. But no, I will know. I hopefully will never, tar LJ with another Brandon Hance comparison. Actually, we kind of skipped over it, but what did you think about the whole start of the game machinations of choose a leader, send somebody off?
It's been used before in Token Teens. Mm-hmm. Well, kind of. Not quite in the exact same way. And I really like Token Teens, so if you're going to start off the season by making me fondly reminisce about Token Teens, not a bad idea. The leader thing at the very beginning just always strikes me as sort of manufactured drama that doesn't seem to give us as much as CBS hopes.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're clearly doing it to manufacture drama, just like they do, show the pecking order type challenges. It's also pretty easy to see that people can get screwed by it. I mean, certainly David didn't come out very well with that, and who knows how it would have gone for the other tribes if they would have lost first. That said, I'm not the kind of person that gets, too antsy when they introduce minor little changes here or there, because I think it is important to shake things up, to keep people on their toes, especially for the show that in recent years, people have been making alliances within, the first 20 seconds just by, nodding each other and looking around with their eyes on the boat. So I think maybe doing little things to shuffle it up at the beginning can help, especially since, unlike last year, these people weren't taken out of the game right away. That said, it wasn't all that interesting.
No, and I think basically the leaders voting those people out, if they'd seen the show before, you have to know, okay, the people you're picking to leave right now are obviously not leaving the game, because that would have left them with, 15 people, which, that's never going to happen. So you kind of know, all right, these people aren't gone.
If there had been space between this year and last, you might be thinking that you're sending them to Redemption Island, because that's what happened last time. But yeah, you weren't getting rid of anybody. David has said in interviews that he knew, but people always say they knew what was going on in interviews months after the fact. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of. But what about the choice? So they get there, and just like in Token Teens, they have a choice between helping set up their camp or looking for an idol. What's the move there?
It kind of depends. I mean, if I'm Garrett, I don't know if I necessarily look for the idol, just because I think you can pretty quickly ingratiate yourself back into the tribe and they're going to need you, although that assumes that Garrett has any sort of social ability whatsoever. But, at the same time, it's hard to turn down the opportunity to get immunity, even if everybody's going to know that that's what the choice was.
Yeah, I think Trish played it perfectly. You don't go for the idol. It certainly didn't help Garrett. But yeah, the most important thing in Survivor is building relationships. And you're already, at a disadvantage because they pegged you right away. You need to do what you can. And, this one was handled a little bit different than Token Teens, which is basically you had the choice to go look for an idol or not. They didn't also give you, extra things. So Trish got the extra food, and that people are always excited when you get a little extra food, especially, early. And she told them that she gave up a chance at the idol. And I think in the move in this scenario is don't say that you gave up a clue. Say you literally gave up an idol. It was like idol or rice. So that people can trust you. They know that you're somebody that you can work with, that you're a team player, that you're not going to hold grudges. Because here's the thing. People find idols without clues all the time. Somebody did, last night. So.
No, Tony had a clue.
Tony did not. Oh, yes, you're correct. You are correct.
Yes. Tony's actual quote was, "I found a lump."
He should really call in medical when he has that. So knowing that there's a clue means knowing that there's an idol. Take the rice, try to make friends, and go look for the idol on your own time.
Right, and that was my backup suggestion, because my wife asked me the same thing. What would you do? Would you go for the idol or take the rice? I mean, if you know the idol is clearly there, then, may as well go looking for it, but it's probably going to be a little harder to find if there actually is clues to where it is.
Yeah, unless, the clue would be, go look here. What did Garrett tell his tribe that he was doing instead? I don't think we ever really saw that. We saw Morgan, convince them that, she had chosen supplies over comfort. We saw Trish say exactly what happened. What did Spencer do? Or not Spencer, Garrett.
I don't know. I totally forget because there was so much awfulness going on besides that it just completely went by the wayside.
Yeah, I think, given everything else he did, probably nothing all that interesting or smart.
So we actually skipped over one very important thing. We forgot to get your opinions on a 1 to 10 scale of the male beauties.
You know what? I'll say this. What's his name? Jeremiah looks better on tape than on pictures.
Well, if you say so.
I don't know what the 1 to 10 on that, but yeah, he seemed like, he probably needs a haircut, but he's like, all right. I see that he has the skeleton, the structure. Like when you're buying a new house, you're not supposed to look at things like the color of the walls or anything like that. You just look at the bones and see what you can do with it. He probably has the right things that people can dress up nicely.
In this case, you're talking about the literal bones. He has the literal bones.
Yeah, like cheekbones.
To dress up
symmetry,
nicely.
That sort of thing. So we're gonna, besides what I think, seems like is going to be a weekly feature of Andy, say funny things to rate the male hotness. We are actually introducing a new feature to the show. Every week, we are going to decide if people have completely eliminated their chance to win this game. So obviously that doesn't count people who have been eliminated, but we're going to make the call. Who has now reached the 0% chance of winning? And this isn't people that are incredibly unlikely to win. We need to remind you that this is a game that's been won by the likes of Fabio, Visepia, Chris Daughtry, Danny Boatwright. Many people can win this in unnatural and unusual ways. But we're going to stake our claim. The people that we put on this list, we're just crossing them out. This person has 0% chance of winning.
You want to throw anybody on this list for the first week?
I have 2 names already. I think there's 2 people just based on the 2 episodes that we saw that I'm willing to lock it down. This person cannot win. And the first one is Jatia. I just can't see how somebody who throws that rice on the fire could ever come back from that.
I'm not willing to commit to her having 0% chance yet. I mean, it's very, very small, but it's not absolute zero yet.
And again, as I said before, she probably won't do that again. And maybe, yes, somehow she and Tasha become the only last 2 people in that tribe and they get divided out and nobody hears the tale of the crazy rice burner. What she showed at that moment, what she showed during the challenge, what she showed in the first episode is that she is not somebody built to handle the stress of Survivor. So if she doesn't go next week, she's gonna go. There's no way this chick lasts 39 days and does so in a way that convinces people that's a winner.
Okay. I mean, like I said, it's near 0.
Yeah, no. Near 0 isn't 0. I understand. I'm ready to lock it down. But yes, there's sometimes with people you'd be like, if 10 people drop out medically or whatever, maybe this person. But yes, I just can't see a path for victory at all for Jatia, so I'm putting her on my list.
All right, who else is on there for you?
Second person, which seems a little more unusual because I think some people would say he had a very good episode. There is 0% chance that Tony can win Survivor.
I actually was thinking that's who you were going to say, despite the fact that he possesses an immunity idol right now. He clearly has no understanding of social interaction. It's almost like he should have been on the Brains tribe.
Yeah, except, not so much. Well, everybody thinks cops are very strategical.
Yes, they do. That strategical comment alone should have landed him on the Brains tribe.
Yeah, look, the idol thing doesn't impress me. I mean, I was excited about it as an owner of Tony in our fantasy games, like, woo, points. What I'm not excited about is having to cheer for Tony. Because, yes, he's just the typical, ready, got the engines running, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do all my Survivor moves, I'm so excited. And people talk about the pillars of Survivor, the things that are necessary to win. You gotta be physical, you gotta be strategic. Probe said you have to be beautiful. That's not true. They say you gotta be, and social. They say those are the 3. I'd say there's a 4th, luck. But here's the thing, it almost does a disservice when you put social game on the same as those, as though it's part this, part that. The social game is Survivor.
Right, that's a good 75% of the game. You need physical game at 2 points, and it's basically at the very beginning to retain tribe numbers, and then at the very, very end, so you control your own fate. That's it.
Yeah, this is a game that's been won by Sandra twice, John Cochran. Physicalness is the absolute least important. Strategy, I think people have, held up as this big thing. And look, we love talking strategy. It's a big word, strategy. All your strategy is how can I use my social game properly? Everything about this is relationships. This is a game where people are both the object of the game and the scoreboard. And Tony has no interest in that. He seems actually angry at the fact that people are getting along. He's throwing away potential really strong, relationships with the person that's clearly already been identified as the leader, who's literally been identified as the leader. He's like, nah, I'm not going to build any bonds with her. I gotta build me a spy shack.
Oh, the spy shack. Not doing a lot of favors for cops with the spy shack, Tony.
There's like a whole group of Survivor fans, a very, very large group of Survivor fans that worship at the Church of Russell Hantz. I'm guessing very few of them listen to this podcast. And they think somehow that that's a way you can attack the game and play it and win. And it is not. Because if that was a way that you could play to win this game, Russell would have won this game.
He would have won twice.
Or at least once. Let's keep in mind that he lost to Natalie White, which again, going to our 0% theory is, let's not cross out too many names.
Right.
But one of the most unremarkable winners of all time, and I'm a Natalie White defender. People think that Russell has great strategy. He does not. Russell has great tactics. He can do amazing things to keep himself alive, to move a minority of people into a majority position. But it doesn't matter because you're never going to win this game if people don't like you. And we don't have a historical discussion planned out for tonight, but just kind of on the top of your head, has there been a single winner this season that wasn't liked by at least a majority of the people?
Let's see.
Because I've been thinking about it, and I think the closest you could say is Richard Hatch in season 1. But I think people still kind of liked Richard. They just didn't like that they were getting beaten by him. Brian Heidick is obviously an all-around creepy dude, but everybody liked him when they were on the island with him. They just didn't like him when he voted him off. And at that point, he was up against somebody so despicable it didn't matter. But everybody else was liked.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was someone that people were like, oh, I guess I got to vote for so-and-so, and no one's jumping to mind.
Like the Marquesas jury wasn't really all that jazzed that they had to vote between Vesepia and Leahy, but they didn't dislike Vesepia. You cannot win this game if you are making people dislike you. It's impossible. And that's what Tony is, I think, already actively trying to do. But he's like, I gotta take out Cliff because people like him. Not, I have to ally with Cliff because people like him. And I just see that continuing, that, he's so excited about all of the different tricks and maneuvers, and he's ready to lie. And I don't care how many idols you get, Tony. I don't care if you make the final 3. I don't care if it's a final 2. Tony has 0% of winning Survivor.
That's actually, spoiler alert, I have heard that there's a possibility that this is a final 2 season.
It would make sense. I mean, they did start with 18, and they've already knocked off 2. Although I guess this was 2 episodes smashed together. But yeah, so those are my 0%ers, Jatia and Tony. And it sounds like you're not ready to put anybody on the list just yet.
Nope, my list is going to stay blank for this week.
That is fair. All right. Apparently we have reader mail.
Yeah, we actually have a voicemail this week from our fellow AV clubber, and I will play it now. Blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about 3 smaller tribes? You want to answer first or me?
Hey guys, it's Count Belitsula from the AV Club. I was wondering, how do you guys feel about seasons that start out with 3 or more smaller tribes? Do you think it ups the difficulty for surviving your first tribal council and increases your chances for a losing streak? Thanks. Bye.
First of all, good question, and thank you. On the one hand, I like that it can make the alliances a little less fluid. Or no, actually, I don't like, I should say, that it can make the alliances less fluid because you have fewer options of who you can align with. But then again, even when you have a group of 10 or 9 or whatever it might be, even then you can just get a locked-in group of 5 and nothing's changing anyway. The one thing that I will say goes strongly in favor of the 3 smaller tribes thing is that you will absolutely have a tribe shuffle. And 9 times out of 10, I like the tribe shuffle thing.
Yeah, it keeps people on their toes. It's all just meant to keep people from just playing like Survivor robots. And it's why they went back to 3 tribes with Philippines, and that was one of the better seasons in recent memory, is that you saw it in one world, you saw it in a few others, where people were making their alliances day one. I think South Pacific is another good example. And they just stuck through it, and there was no reason to change, and it was just too static. So the 3-tribe structure, at least the theory was in Philippines, and it certainly worked out, that it, shook things up. I do kind of think, and maybe this is what Count was getting at, is that 6 people is just too small.
I would agree with that, and it definitely does. If you're a player in the game, yeah, it does increase your difficulty because there's less options for you to form bonds with people. If you get stuck on that Brains tribe, well, sorry, you got stuck in a terrible tribe. What are you going to do? You can't look around for different options. You have 5 other options, and you need to befriend probably at least 3 of them.
Yeah, and then also it's a tough hill to overcome if you lose the first 2. Like, I have no confidence in the Brains tribe from here on out. Not that I had any to start with. But now they're down 4 to 2 other tribes that are, fully stocked. And it's just gonna go the same way it did with, I believe their tribe name was Matt Singh, but basically Malcolm Denise. And if you're on the Brains tribe, if you're, Cass and Spencer, that's what you're just helping for. Let me just be the survivor here, and then I could be useful in another alliance down the road. And I think that's one of the strengths of the 3-tribe setup, is that these people then can become tools. They can work their way out, or, they could become useless and easy boots. It's gone both ways when you do this, so I'm not saying it's better, but I think it's one of those things where I think it's good for Survivor to switch it up. Sometimes do 2, sometimes do 3, sometimes have idols right now, sometimes have idols later. It's why they should probably switch up the final 2, final 3. Just throw in enough tiny variables that don't alter the game in a meaningful way, but a variable that players now have to take into consideration so they can't just go on autopilot.
Right. You take out their ability to predict what's coming.
And that's important.
Yeah, once they have to think on the fly, that's when the fun stuff happens.
All right, and we also had some written questions.
Yeah, we had a comment on the AV Club. Someone asked us, if you could pick one player from each tribe and put them on another tribe, who would it be and which tribe would you put them on? That's from Something Quirky, who's actually appeared on our podcast before.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to thrust anybody on the Brains tribe anywhere else. They've made their bed. They should stay there. Maybe at the beginning of the season I would have been like, oh yeah, Jatia, former Ford model. She could certainly be a beauty. I've seen the Crazy Eyes now, and it's like, I don't want her messing up my beauty tribe. I mean, Garrett obviously would fit the definition of somebody who has put work into their physical presence, so you could have put him on beauty. But I think the easiest switch would have been to just swap Wu and LJ.
So you're putting LJ into the Brawn tribe.
Yeah. And Wu on the beauty tribe.
Okay. A little bit of a stretch, but I could see that, I guess.
Stretch which way?
I honestly, I think it's Wu is a bit of a stretch for the beauty. LJ, not quite as much of a stretch for Brawn, but still kind of a stretch.
Dude works with horses. I imagine he's kind of strong.
Yeah, but I can see what they were going with, putting Wu in there. I mean, he's not, gym, bench pressing, muscular guy, but he is certainly athletic and physical in a way that I just don't think LJ really is.
All right, you got any? I mean, besides Morgan on the Brains tribe?
Yeah. Man, I don't even know who because I initially thought, well, you know what, I'm going to rescue someone off that Brains tribe because it's terrible. I'll get Spencer out of there because he turned out to exceed expectations. But
you can't put him on either of the other 2 tribes.
No, I can't put him anywhere else. I mean, what are you going to put him on?
No, this was the only place that Spencer could be.
Yeah. So maybe
really Tasha and physical.
I don't see
former
it there.
Cheerleader.
There's nowhere to move too many people around. I mean, there are some people that have a little bit of. They could maybe be placed in other spots, but it's a bit of a stretch. I think for the most part, these people were slotted as accurately as could be expected.
All right, and one last message.
We also got another comment, and it says, who will be the first one voted off the Braun tribe? This is actually good because this will lead into our predictions for next week. He says, Tony had an immunity idol and a spy shack in the first episode. How far do you think Tony goes?
All right, so it's kind of two questions. I'll start with the second one. How far does Tony go? Much farther than I, the viewer, want him to go, but probably not as far as I, the owner of Tony in a points-based game, want him to go. By blowing Sarah off, she was already like, you know what, I'm going to get rid of him. I don't think they'd have the opportunity or even the desire to take him out right away. But I don't think right away is coming very soon for that tribe. I could see them not having to go to tribal council until at least they split the teams into two.
That's entirely possible. I should point out, by the way, that was Coolest Kid that asked us that question.
As opposed to me, Coolest Man.
Tony, I mean, I kind of said it before the season. Tony goes far if other people conspire to bring him far. He might think it's of his own devices, but he's going to be dragged towards the end more than he's going to maneuver his own way towards the end.
Yeah, I think he's already kind of ostracized himself. Like, him and Trish are sitting around, complaining about everybody. He doesn't seem as focused on making bonds, from the little we saw. But you keep the Ox around if he's not a real threat. And, he has an immunity idol. Maybe he'd play it. Maybe he'd play it just because, he's very itchy to play things. And, it could just work out in his favor. But to answer the first question, which would kind of help explain why Tony will get a little farther, who goes first in the Braun tribe? And this will be my prediction. If the odd chance that the Braun tribe goes to tribal council next week, I don't think they will. I'm sticking with Trish. For the reasons I gave at the beginning of the season, and from what we saw. Like, she's already the person that they kind of, get a load of this one, and, complain about, like you do your crazy coworker. And I don't see that changing. It's one of those things that, in a group of people where you're just meeting them, you can bond over, like, she's kind of annoying. And you already see it, with Lindsay. So, Trish is my pick to be the first person voted out of Braun. And then, so if she goes, it's gonna be another, month in our time before Braun is at tribal council again. So I think Tony has another 5-6 episodes in him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tony is going to, mostly because of his tribe, make it to, at the very least, the vote before the merge. More likely, it'll be several votes past the merge.
Yeah, he might be the new Judd.
Yeah. As for who's going home first, honestly, I kind of believe you that it's going to be Trish. But just to be a contrarian, I'll say Lindsay. And it's funny to me, too, because if you've ever seen Parks and Recreation, Trish strikes me as the Jerry of that group, where you just make fun of the Jerry just because that's what you do.
Yeah, no, people just kind of bond over that. And, I think of all the horrible times I've done that with somebody. And I know I'm just being funny. I'm never as mean as those Parks people, but I don't know that those people aren't going home and crying and stabbing the shrine of me there. So that's what's going on there. So, other predictions. So we always predict one per tribe because you never know who's going to lose a challenge. I'm pretty confident that the Brains are going to lose the next challenge. So this kind of presents a big question. I mean, Spencer's the guy on the outs. I kind of feel like being the person on the outs in this tribe doesn't really matter because they changed their mind 3 to 4 times per episode. David's voted out a leader. David's gone. Everybody's backing Garrett and, talking about Jatia, and Garrett's gone. I'm just trying to parcel out the move, and we kind of didn't fully explain this, but obviously Cass decided that she was better off with Tasha and Jatia than she was with Garrett and Spencer. And, the way Spencer was talking and all the things you can do, you can make an argument in a non-dumping out the food source, world that was the right move. maybe her next move is to try to form a 3-person alliance with the sane people. But I kind of just feel like Tasha, especially, Jatia, obviously, are just locked in, like, this is our alliance, and this is what we're going to do. And I think they'll just vote out Spencer next.
Again, I see the logic there, but to be a contrarian, I think it's Jatia that goes next.
Well, look, if voting out Jatia is the move, it's the only move. If they go to Tribal Council again, it'll probably be because of her. I'm just no longer willing to give them the benefit of the doubt of making the correct decision, the sane decision, the intelligent decision. All right, and then beauties. Who do you think will go up first?
I lean towards it being Alexis.
All right, and I'm going to pick Jeffra, and I don't think we really need to get into like one of the people that didn't talk much this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe they're tired of Jeffra asking them about their bowel movements.
That was pretty awesome, because, that's a question that I've actually asked before. Like, hey, I'm assuming these people don't ever poop, but I wonder how often or how other bodily functions are impacted. And actually, Rob Sesternino has gone into some detail about certain bodily functions that didn't occur since he was a teenager, recurring when he was on an island for 39 days. But it would have amused me if she was on my tribe and asked me.
Yeah, I think in the early stages you don't poop as much. I think later, especially with the reward challenges, you do violently. Unless, you're Bruce in Exile Island, in which case they have to remove you for not. Aren't you glad you tuned in and stayed to the podcast for that discussion? All right, so those are our predictions. What we're doing this season is we're going to keep a tally and see who the end of the winner is. Who is the best predictor? So far, we're going with a stunning 0-2 on each side. So
I wish we had a swing and a miss sound effect here, because I would play it right now.
We gotta get the drops. But I feel good. We're gonna get somebody for next week. We just don't know who. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. If you want to know where you can find out about all the different things we're doing and all the funny things we say, you can follow us on Twitter at Purple Rock Pod. You can drop us an email at purplerockpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow our Tumblr, Purple Rock Podcast, tumblr.com, WordPress, Purple Rock Podcast, WordPress.com. What else we got?
I don't know. Do we have other things? Oh, we have Skype. You can send us a voicemail like Count Bulletsula did. He's got a great name, by the way. I'm a big Archer fan, so shout out to Count Bulletsula for the good choice of name.
You want to give him our voicemail?
Oh, I guess I should probably tell you, if you did want to contact us via Skype, you can either send a voicemail to JR Purple Rock, or you can send one to Purple Rock Podcast. Both of those on Skype, of course.
And you can also subscribe to us on iTunes. Just search for the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. That's us. And, if you like what you're hearing, how about you throw us a rating or a comment? Because apparently that helps other people find us and like us as well.
Sure.
I mean, John won't, because he doesn't understand these Apple products of today.
I'm still playing with my Zune.
All right, so it's a good season so far, right?
Yeah, promising start at least. We'll see how it goes next week.
Well, I think interesting cast of characters. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for listening. We'll talk again next week. Cue the music.